Okay, we are here today with Kate McCourt, who is the Historic Preservation Officer for Butte Silverbow.
That's right.
Thank you for coming on Hoary Marmot.
Thank you for having
Today.
me.
Where are we?
Yeah, what is this?
We are in the upper room of the main hoist of the Anselmo Mine Yard, which is our most intact, complete mine yard here in Butte. We have lots of head frames speckling the hillsides, but this one has a lot of its original buildings are still in place and intact, and it's wow. It's a nice. It's my favorite, I think.
It is a really neat
of
space.
The mine yards.
Yeah. What happens? What does it mean? The hoist room.
So the hoist room is where the most important person in the mine yard would sit, and I don't want to take away from the miners coming and going every day or risking their lives, going 3,500 feet below the surface of the ground, but the engineer would operate out of the hoist room, and he would have his chair. Hopefully it was a very comfortable chair. And he would be, basically it was his job to raise and lower skips and cages with men, up and down mules, whatever ore was coming up. And so he was basically sight unseen. I mean, you can see what it looks like over there. You can't see really anything except the dials in front of him that are alerting him as to what level someone's calling him from, and probably multiple people calling him at the same time.
Yeah.
And saying,
this is a job I would suck at.
You would not be.
This is a job I would be in a blind panic half the time. I'd be like, is it a mule or a person?
How do you compartmentalize what you need to do when everyone's like, buzzing you at the same time? And
they don't have walkie-talkies. There's no clear way to communicate. It's just
Morse
like they
code.
would ding the bell.
It
from
was almost like a form of Morse code,
300 feet below.
Right, and he would have to, okay, this guy's over here, these guys are over here, this is happening. I mean,
This
and it was
mule's
like,
with this guy. Sorry, the mule thing cracks me up too.
well, the mules it's a kind of a heartbreaking story.
Is it?
Yeah, I mean, they say some of them just kind of live their entire lives down there. I mean, they live down there.
Oh, bless.
And so, they would, when they were retired, I think that oftentimes they would be blind. They'd never, couldn't see anything. They'd lived their whole life underground.
They couldn't move to Florida and get a condo.
No, they could not retire to Florida. It was just
sucks.
such a. So, the mule story is it's not my favorite as an animal lover, but there's actually a sign right over there that says the men and the mules. So that they would have to come up and down too. But those skips or those cages, which we'll see outside. I mean, 6 men, they said they could pack into.
Tiny cages.
Kind of a phone booth?
You've got all these guys.
Like a little bit bigger than a phone booth, maybe?
Yeah, a little bit bigger than a phone booth. You can go stand in one actually out there.
All right.
Yeah, and so, and just lines of them ready to go down for their shifts. So they'd, come in, they'd go to their locker in the dry. They would leave a change of clothes, because undoubtedly they would come up and be just completely soaking wet. Some of these mines like were known to have run really hot. Mm-hmm. And I mean, I remember reading about the Travonia, which is down at the end of Excelsior Street, that it was like the cool mine, and it was probably still in the 80s or something, but that was the one that it would be preferred because it was actually, it was more comfortable than the typical.
Man, people complain about losing a finger making T-shirts now. I mean,
and so these guys would come out of their shift and they would go to the showers, the dry.
Yeah, so they would go to the dry, and everyone, and in the Anselmo and in a couple of the mine yards, the dries still have the tags on them that have their names and that scrolly, old-timey kind of handwriting, and
you know that, Jeff.
I know the old-timey
Yeah.
handwriting.
The old-timey
very well.
handwriting. Yeah, because it's, it's
I'm
hard
guessing
to interpret
they're not getting
sometimes.
totally clean in these showers. They're just taking off a
it's just
layer.
to take off a layer
Okay.
of sweat and
You
dirt.
have interest in the cleanliness of the. We're not getting totally
Well, it's hard. It's hard for me to picture
They had
this.
soap because the soap is still here.
Soap is still
we
there.
have soap still
Exactly.
here
Yeah.
in,
They
in
used
the little
soap.
yeah.
You need to know
have
the brand because it's
confirmation.
held up.
Yeah, it's held up all this time.
Most of these miners were Irish. We know that Butte is this insanely Irish town.
Right. I wouldn't even say most of them, though. I would say a very large,
Like all of them.
Butte was hugely Irish. We had a massive, massive Irish population. We had neighborhoods that built up, especially just of the Irish, like Dublin Gulch and Corktown were two actual neighborhoods that were inhabited entirely. So it was like you would walk down the street and you'd enter into Corktown and it would be like you were at home, everyone around you.
It's
And why-
Chinatown, but for Irishmen.
And we had a Chinatown
So the
too.
food's not as good.
No, but we also had miners from all over the world.
Right.
That's why we have here the World Museum of Mining. Not because we claim to, be the epicenter of all things mining all over the world, but because we had miners from all over the world, all over Europe, who came to Butte to work. But the Irish specifically had a connection, of course, with Marcus Daly, who ran the Anaconda Company. And so he kind of like put a call back. He was from
gonna
the
say.
Beara Peninsula, kind of on the
Summoning
south
them?
of Ireland. Yeah, come to Butte. Come and work here. You're going to find it's like very welcoming,
Yeah. And pretty.
and they did. So, yeah, so that's, so he probably had a lot to do with a major influx of Irish miners
Yeah.
coming.
And people have called Butte the most Irish city in America. I mean, that's why St. Patrick's Day is so huge here.
Yeah,
Because there's
yeah.
such a large Irish population.
Yeah, yeah. I
It
think there's
was.
still.
It used to be.
Was.
Yeah, but we had, the little sections of town. We had Finntown that was filled with Finnish folks. We had Meaderville was the Italians. I mean, people all came from, all of these different places, and they all had their own kind of techniques as well, and the Welsh, the Cornish pasties from Cornwall, so that's an English thing, but, we kind of, it's been embraced.
You adopted it? Yeah.
As,
It's a hearty treat.
Joe and the boys love pasties. I
Yeah.
never really liked them.
Yeah, well, lots of gravy.
Lots of stuff.
You need to.
I like stuff, but
Yeah.
it's not a. I'm
Yeah.
not a
It's
pasta
heavy.
person.
It's
I
like,
like a
you know,
croissant.
Well, and,
Good heavy
and
meal.
you could hold it in your hand. You could just,
Sure.
bring it down into the mine.
It's
and
the
you
original
could-
Hot Pocket.
Right, it is.
Yeah.
It's exactly what it is.
Love a hand pie.
Yes.
Good old hand pie. So we have a big celebration coming up for St. Patrick's Day,
Yep.
as is every year,
Every year,
in
yep.
Butte. It's a big deal. This year, no
Same.
different. There's a
No different,
Big old
yep.
parade happening.
Yes,
Uptown, you said?
there will be at noon it starts, and yeah,
Monday the
usually
17th, right?
On
lots
St.
of
Patrick's Day.
floats. So you've got the dancers, you've got and you just have just events happening down at the Civic Center as well.
Wow.
6:30 in the evening. They'll have they always get the Edmonton bagpipers to come down from Canada every year. And they go all around. They have, and kind of set up and play some music. They did it in the courthouse a couple years ago. That was really cool. It was
All
like
right.
reverberating all throughout. And so, yeah, so, and then just every bar and restaurant is just like open and embracing it. And
No one's drinking. I
no
know.
one's drinking, and especially not out on the street in cups because that's not legal, but it is in Butte. Not even just on St. Patrick's Day, all the time.
Oh, all the
so,
time.
Yeah, we have no open container laws here.
Similar
so
to Big
people,
Sky.
so
Big
you
Sky.
just.
Bozeman, you can drink on Main Street.
I didn't know Big Sky you could do it. I know Virginia
Bozeman,
City you
it
can.
gets suspended for the Thursday night music on Maine.
Yeah, Music on
But
Main. Come
normally,
visit.
Bozeman's
You can
not.
drink
Oh,
open
yeah.
container. if you
Are
want
people
to.
pinching people who are not wearing green on St. Patrick's Day in Butte? Is
would
that
never
a thing?
have never taken the chance,
Okay.
so I do not know,
You
but
go,
probably.
You go green. It's really easy to wear your St. Patrick's Day
it's so easy,
colors, guys.
just a little bit of green. So yeah, I can't say I've ever taken that risk. Myself, all being Irish as well. So
Let's talk about
yeah.
you some, Kate. You're
Sure.
HPO, Historic Preservation Officer. We were talking earlier, and you said you kind of got your start in Montana by digging around in old brothels in Virginia City. Tell me about that.
Yeah, so I took what was a 90-day or summer job down in Virginia City as a preservation specialist. I was hired on because of my archaeology background. I have a master's degree in archaeology and was just looking for something different. And so
That's different.
I moved out here with my dog, and it turned into 5 years. I was in this tiny town, 150 year-round residents. I'm sure
we
it's
know Virginia
more
City.
now.
Yeah,
I'm sure.
maybe 100 more, but that's it.
And then and then of course in the summertime, it's like
Yes.
that's when it the number goes up. And
Archaeology, you think of as digging for dinosaur fossils, or you're digging around in Egyptian
He's only
tombs.
thinking of Indiana Jones.
well, that's paleontology too.
Okay.
Only.
The fossil thing is common,
Okay.
common misnomer.
But I don't think of archaeologists necessarily as like digging in brothels from the 1800s.
It's the study of the material culture of man. So you see a bone laying on the ground, that's just a bone. If
Yeah.
you see a bone that has like a cut
holding
in
on
it,
to a chisel.
right, like it's been hafted with something, or it's got knife marks on it, that becomes an artifact. So that's the difference. So
Aren't archaeologists kind of like a hybrid of like historians and anthropologists?
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, that's probably why I went into it, because I was really interested in pre-contact, prehistoric anthropology, I guess. And then and also, history. I loved history. So it was like a marriage of the two. And I think that, and especially in a place like Virginia City, where there has really, not been very much done. It's essentially been intact.
It's preserved so well.
So from that standpoint, and also from the standpoint of the buildings, where they'd never had any of those massive, devastating fires sweep through. So all of that, wood, if it's like, log buildings or frame buildings, board and batten, they're for the most part, very original. So we would, and if you'd fix something, you would, cut off the bottom where there was water damage and place what's called a Dutchman on. You would keep it preserved so that it was,
So like the the pharmacy, the word I'm looking for, it used to be apothecary. The apothecaries
Yeah.
there, sorry, lots of A words going through my head there.
Yeah.
The apothecaries, are those some of the original like bottles and things that people
Probably are.
left?
Yeah, actually, there's the McGovern Millinery, which is the ladies' hat store.
Oh yes, I love that place.
And the story goes, and there's like weird, there's like doll heads in a box,
Yeah,
and like
no,
kind
saw
of creepy
that.
things. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Kind of like the
You could make a really nice
me
hat with
too.
a bunch
the
of doll
hanging
heads.
museum.
yes, where the beam is, where they hung the road agents. Yeah, so a place like that apparently, when Charlie Bovee, he was a U.S. senator, and also he was an heir to the Mills. I'm trying to think of, he was so the pasta they made, the wheat. Anyway, so he was a wealthy man. And, he was kind of an heir to a fortune, and he loved history. And so he and his wife, Sue Ford Bovee, they were at a Great Falls, and they came through and were just stunned at the integrity of the place, that it was still, this was probably like in the 1940s. And so they, they started buying up buildings, essentially. And they you know, the McGovern sisters were like these spinster sisters. They're just like, you know, every day all the ladies in town would, you know, like have coffee and gossip and just like, if you could just imagine, you know, and they had their shop and, you know, just floor to ceiling boxes. And one of them got sick. And I think the story goes, is that Mr. Bovee, General Mills.
General Mills, right.
General Mills.
Cheerios.
I think what the other sister did was just pull down the shades. And at one point, he was like offering her money just to raise the shades so that people could look in, because he was trying to create this sort of tourist town, you know, which he did. But, and then as soon as he could, he bought the building and with all of its stock. So, you know, it's always been said, if you pick up one of those boxes in there and open it up, and it'll have like ladies' stockings in it, you know, I mean, like everything just
Nylon,
kind of,
it's just
It's not curated.
It's not curated.
It's just
you know, we
as is.
So you landed here in Butte because of the brothals. Know that? No, I'm kidding.
Sort of,
You
yeah.
tracked a new brothel town, the biggest brothel town.
Yeah, this whole thing has been very full circle for me. From placer mining to, you know, gold pan to you know, just the little brothels that we had there. So I did do a large project on the green front, which is, if you're familiar, there's a little, where the train comes in, there's a little train depot in Virginia City on the west side of town, and there's two little buildings that sit right next to each other, and those are called the green front. Yeah. And so that was the brothel, and I did 19 test units around it, and just discovered not as much brothel-y stuff as I was expecting to, but way more Chinatown stuff, which was really cool, because, you know, nobody had really realized that there was such a concentration. But, you know, that's what happens in the West. A lot of these Western towns was that, you know, the red light district and the Chinatown would be right next to each other.
Yeah.
They had use of one another, you know.
Was that the case here as well in Butte?
Yeah. Actually, that kind of Mercury Galena area of town that was like became Venus Alley, and they were very close to one another. And then the Maiwa Society, which is an old noodle parlor, and that's also on Mercury. So they're if you look at the old Sanborn maps, you can really see the female boarding, which was what they called the houses of prostitution, and the Chinese establishments would be labeled as well. So and they were very near to one another, because I guess maybe the prostitutes would have, you know, needs of medical services and things like that, that they would not go to, you know, Dr. Dames over on the hill. You know, they would use the Chinese chemists for that kind of alternative medicine. It's a theory, you know. I mean, it makes which is likely true about it's pretty interesting.
Able to get good health care still. Yeah, as a prostitute, I'm not. Okay, so you're in Butte now, and you're Irish, which is wonderful, perfection. I know you've lived up in Great Falls, you said, for a little bit, but then came down here, and now you're the historic preservation person. You know a lot of Butte stories. Do you have one that is the craziest, like, this could be made into a Hollywood movie story?
There are so many in Butte. That's the thing about Butte, is that, you know, I mean, every time I am digging into anything, if I'm researching a building, you know, I'll go open up the newspapers.com, just like you find the most ridiculous things that took place here that you weren't even looking for. There's something attached to every single historic structure in this building. If you're like a true crime fan, oh man, you know, you wouldn't believe, you know, the stories that you find out about. And it's just, there's the stuff that everybody, you know, has focused on for years. You know, there's the focus on the Irish, or the focus on the unions, and, you know, the blowing up of the Miners' Union Hall, and then Butte being under martial law, you know, and some of our head frames have, you know, like sniper platforms on them for when Butte was under martial law and everything was on lockdown.
Butte under martial law?
Because of unions and the miners' uprising. They wanted, fair and equal pay. And then the Anaconda Company did not want to unionize. It wasn't in their best interests, they felt. So,
A lot of money.
I was just doing research on like the Broadway Garage, which is on Broadway, kind of in the east side of town, lost a ton of buildings over there. But, and you find out that was like that was used as a barracks when the U.S. government came in, and the soldiers were in town to protect the miners that really just like wanted to do their job and go to work every day because they were being harassed constantly. And so that's why they were here, was to basically protect the miners that still wanted to go to work, who weren't striking.
Right.
We've got strike fences around town. That was what that whole thing was for, these big tall wooden fences. There's one on the Lexington up on the way to Walkerville that's still in really good shape. And there's one at the Mining Museum as well, that would be like just like, so the scabs, or whatever they called them, would basically, because they would be harassed. They would be constantly like...
It's to protect the scabs.
To protect them
fences.
To protect the scabs going to work.
Yeah.
We're not supportive of the strike.
Interesting.
Yeah. Cool. There's so much of that. But every building I've ever researched, you just get these crazy stories of things that have happened here, and just
Speaking of, who killed Frank Little? Okay.
Well, we know, in a general broad sense, we know who killed Frank Little, but we don't know who actually did the deed.
I don't know that Michelle knows the story, but this is a union leader who was murdered brutally.
Oh, is this the podcast you're listening to? Okay.
Yeah.
And he was
dragged behind cars, and he was, and
we think it was 6 guys.
He wasn't
in a
even
black Cadillac.
Yeah, he wasn't here for very long either before suddenly he was taken out and they left him hanging on a railroad bridge overpass.
Okay.
Yeah, so
pretty brutal. Yeah,
it was, and he's buried here. And if you go to his grave, it's pretty cool, actually. It's covered in all kinds of. They've left him bottles of whiskey and cigarettes and
nice. Union strong.
Like
he's a teetotaler though.
Which is why that's funny.
Yeah.
I thought that too.
Yeah. Oopsies.
Yeah, the Frank Little
Always
story.
Been bad
something
at giving. So.
Yeah.
So let's talk about 1923 a little bit, because that kicked off a new chapter in Butte's history.
Yeah.
How has that been as a Buttean?
Oh, I thought it was great, but I also was really excited because Harrison Ford was going to be in Butte. So, obviously, as a child, I was a massive Indiana Jones fan, and
right.
so, I think it was very positive because it brought in. The business has made a lot of money. It was great for the economy. It was great for Butte Silver Bow, the government, because, they were renting out our civic center, and it was just fun. And a lot of the changes that they made are still there on Broadway.
Yeah.
If you drive down Broadway, you'll see like shaven 2 bits, like in the window, like there's just like certain things that that they did leave behind. So it kind of is like a little movie set there, and
is it welcome? Do people like seeing this stuff that's been left?
I think so. For the most part, I know that, some businesses, had issues with, but they were just shelling out money left and right, like to close down for a couple of hours or whatever. I think they tried to be the best
stewards of it.
that they could.
Yeah.
And for my part, when I saw what they did with the buildings and the tweaks that they made that to make them from the 1920s or whatever.
Accurate.
We have so much architecture here that's, but of course not everything. They're going to have to cover things over or change things. And And they built up brick walls, and they used a common bond, to do it, so it was accurate and fit right in with, all the other buildings in Butte. Or they, instead of...
That's the thing is, you're driving around Butte, you're like, old building after old building, beautiful brick, this amazing architecture, and then there's a new Taco Bell.
Yeah, the cantina. That's an old building, though, unfortunately. I know, yeah. So that one they would blue screen out or whatever they did. I mean, they would literally, because it was supposed to be Bozeman, so you would see this just giant blue, square. That was like the blue screen that they had to put, for example, I don't know, did you watch the show?
We watched
There
it.
were scenes of, Harrison Ford walking down Alaska Street, and they couldn't have the original the Mine Yard head frame in it because it was Bozeman, not Butte. I think people didn't like that it was Bozeman and not Butte, but I mean, that checked it out with the story, the whole
That
Park
rubbed
County
people the wrong
thing.
way.
That was fine, So they had to change our like,
Street names
the
and
sheriff's department, our old city jail or whatever, they had to change to, to Bozeman and stuff like that. But they just made these like little tweaks that were all reversible, which is a huge, one of the main tenets of preservation, is that you make it reversible. We have National Register signs all over the place on all of our buildings, and they would just kind of like build a little box that they would fix on top of it, and it would have like funny, like candidates for, like Democratic and Republican. And then one day when I was kind of walking around while they were doing Granite Street, like fixing it up for the next day.
Yeah.
I did get to meet Harrison Ford.
Oh, there we go.
You
Indiana
wanted.
Jones himself. Was he wearing the fedora?
No, he was wearing his and then he was
in character.
he was very much in character, and he was like thinking about it too, because it had started to drizzle, and he had to go because he was like, I got to take off my hat. I'm getting water drops on it for the next scene. It was like very professional. But yeah, no, it was just funny because there was for some election there was one of those. It was like a post no bills, but there was this thing on, and they had slapped up a candidate that was like, the Republican or whatever for Congress. And then I looked on the ground, and there was crumpled up. There was the Democratic candidate, like laying crumpled up on the ground, like. Like it was like, that it was hilarious because it was like, who would notice that detail? That somebody was just like, throw it down and put up the other one. And it was like so.
Only one candidate.
Yeah, I just thought
They
it
thought it
was.
through.
They really thought it through,
Running
and
unopposed.
it was not. But it was so all the extras and everything could just like embody that what they were going for. So yeah, it was very interesting for me to see.
So outside of the Taco Bell, what needs to be seen in Butte if someone were to visit the city?
That's a cantina, that's a Taco Bell cantina, so you can
it's
get
fancy.
booze there.
Okay, you can?
Yeah. Yes.
All right. I didn't know that. Did you know that?
I had no idea.
No idea.
I know where we're stopping on the way home.
There you go.
All right.
Oh, you should go to the new pub if you haven't been. Sean O'Donnell's is really good. That is in the old Max Tavern. It's got great food and atmosphere, and it's run by Irish Johnny, who's properly Irish, and there's so much to see. Have you been in the courthouse? It's stunning. That's where I work every day. I'm like, oh my gosh.
No.
And so, we've got the mining museum. I would just take a walk on, around town on the streets in the uptown, and there's.
And that giant copper, what is it called? The basin?
The
thing?
Berkeley Pit?
The Berkeley Pit.
That was insane.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
That is what draws people, which is so funny. But the first time I ever came to Butte, I too went to the Berkeley Pit and looked at it and just looked at it. And it's
giant pit.
the Gulf of Butte. Yeah.
It is. It is, and birds
highly
can't.
toxic
Birds
water.
die as soon as they hit the water.
They're
It's
not
very-
allowed. Don't let birds in the
No,
water.
they shoot off these air cannons, and they have
Right, I
all
remember
kinds
that.
of ways to detract that from happening. So
Right. Maybe we should let them in there though, with the bird flu
No,
going around. Just be like, let
Toss them in.
it's not a bad idea, actually.
Nihilist.
That'll
sort of
keep the
view in
cats
life.
from eating
Yeah.
them. Tell me about the orphan girl mine. That's one that I want to go to at some
You can
point.
actually go down to the 100-foot level. You can actually go down, and that's the Orphan Girl Mine is located within the World Museum of Mining, and I'm not sure about the dates. I don't have the dates handy, but you can actually do an underground tour of that one. And we have
Cool.
other underground tours that take you kind of beneath the vaulted sidewalks, and you can see just kind of weird things where there was little barber shops underground. I mean, there's basically a whole nother level to Butte underneath the main street. So
It's like Batman's house.
yeah, there's
or
a
Vegas.
speakeasy that was rediscovered. Yeah, I mean, there's for lack of, I mean, we have the World Museum of Mining, we have our archives, we have the best archives in Montana. Like it rivals the Historical Society. In an old fire station.
Shots fired. Okay, I like it.
It's okay. I think that they might even agree.
I'm gonna need you to give me a map of where all the secret doors are.
Yeah.
So that we can.
Yeah, they, yeah, I mean, the town is just, there's just something like palpable about it, I think, like with all of everything that it's experienced with the, we had the Granite Mountain mining disaster. We had this massive explosion that happened in 1895 in the warehouse district. That took out like our entire fire department, save like one
Yeah.
guy and one horse.
Was it
I
like
mean,
185 people died or something. I forget the name.
yeah,
of
it was, and there's a really great documentary that you can watch about that actually, about this great warehouse explosion. That's fantastic. Like it's touching. So you could just kind of feel the.
Right.
I feel like you're saying it's haunted. Like the whole city's haunted. That's what I feel like you're saying right now.
I'm sure that it is.
Okay.
I am not one to ever have those experiences, but I truly believe that, yeah, it absolutely is.
What are you feeling right now, Michelle?
Huh?
What are you feeling right now?
I'm
Do you
trying to
feel
figure
the
out the
presence of
smell
souls?
in here, but that's about it.
It's just very industrial smelling.
It's an industrial smell, perhaps like mixture of sweat and industry. But yeah, I don't think I'm feeling much. I mean, in that like boiler room, maybe. I don't even know though. But it's a boiler room. Nobody feels good. And if you've watched Nightmare on Elm Street enough times, any boiler room's not going to feel good for you.
Well, but you said you went into the Dumas and
That
your
was
kids
freaky.
felt something.
Yeah, remember when Smith was like, "I gotta get out of
Oh,
here."
yeah.
Yeah.
You guys were catching weird vibes in that space.
Well, how could you not? I mean, even a person.
Baby.
It's not sensitive. Yeah, for example, we were like looking up a building that had some brick falling off, so it was considered dangerous, and it turned out to be where this woman who was like an early abortionist had, basically like she was delivering babies and then selling them, and also doing, abortions in this like kind of in this alley house that was kind of behind like the main house. And,
Right.
I mean, these, again, the stories that
Good
you
times.
find just
Yeah.
when you're
Easy
like
living.
just
A lot of people carving out niches for themselves.
Yeah,
I mean, it's supply and demand.
it's
right.
it's quite a story. Yeah.
All
Ready for
right.
the dumb marmot game now?
Let's play the dumb marmot
Okay,
game.
fine. Speaking
On
of-
that note,
on that note.
guys, come here for St. Patrick's Day. By the way,
It's fun.
parade's
Yeah.
gonna be great, and there's no better place to celebrate St. Patty's Day.
Absolutely. Everybody's Irish on St. Patty's Day.
All right, so the dumb marmot game is called Best Preserves in Butte. All right, you are a preservation officer.
He doesn't let me like know what's happening.
This is,
Man,
it's
I only
really,
found out he
it's
had to get
just my
food for it.
excuse to go to the Front Street Market, which is one of my favorite
Oh,
places
yeah,
in Butte.
the Front
And
Street
so
Market.
I
I'm going
may
to
or may not
present.
taste things you give me. We'll
I'm going to
see.
present some preserves. You guys are going to taste them and see if you can tell me what you're eating. All right?
Okay.
We're gonna do a cut so that I can set it all up. Best preserves in Butte. Here we go. All right. These are all
okay.
from the Front Street Market. Ooh. So everybody take a rice cracker.
Can Michael do it?
No, we're gonna do this, and then pop one of these on there.
Seems really precarious. Oh, let me put a rolling thing on a flat surface and try and eat it.
There we go, and then you just eat it.
Oh gosh. Okay.
And then we have to guess what it is in. What is in this from the Front Street Market?
I know what it is.
It
It's
has
an
some-
olive with pimento in the middle. I win. You can eat mine. The bird's gonna get that one.
This one's kind of easy, but what are you
yeah.
thinking?
It's a manzanilla. Do you say manzanilla olive? With
Yeah, it's
like some jalapeno.
Oh no, it's gonna peel off. It was chipotle. This is a chipotle. There's
Lay
an
in there.
olive with chipotle.
I don't
is it gonna
think I-
rip off all of them?
I don't think I tasted the chipotle.
The tape. I got tape that was too strong.
Should have gotten painter's tape. Oh yeah. Oh
Well, now I've got that in my mouth, and how am I going to be able to?
yeah. I know.
Okay, I can see what this is. All right,
Do
here we
you
go.
not know? Wait. Can I get the nose on it?
Yep, you can smell it if you want.
I feel like there's tomato in there.
Yeah,
I'm not a fan.
that is surprising. I'm surprised.
Here we go. You gotta try it.
I think I'm just gonna smell them and try and figure out what they are by smell.
That was
Wait,
bizarre.
let Kate get some.
Okay.
It
Well,
looks
of course I am.
strawberry.
It's got spice. It's got. I'm gonna say it is like, yeah, you're not a fan.
It is spicy.
It's a tomato
No, but it's sweet.
strawberry jam.
Yeah, it's
Strawberry.
it is red tomato sweet preserves.
Ha!
That's so strange.
Isn't that
I've
weird?
got a nose for things. I'm doing sniff only. Mainly because I'm still a little carsick feeling from the.
You're
bad
welcome to try
driving.
any of these that you want, Michael. All right, let's try the next one. Here we go. Dig in.
I took my headphones off.
Here you go.
Oh. Wait, I bet I know what it is.
Is this like an apple butter?
That's what I was thinking. But maybe pumpkin. Hold on, I gotta smell. I'm gonna say apple butter.
If that's the case,
Or
I
pear
have
butter.
I have a jar of this in my refrigerator at home right
Yeah, you guys got it right. It's apple,
Apple butter. Nose. It was either apple or pear.
Delicious.
I love apple
now. It
butter.
is really good.
That should have been our last one.
Apple butter on like a muffin.
Got that cinnamon.
Wait a minute, pickles?
You're like, wait a minute, pickles? We know what these things are. These are gonna be hard to eat. My hands.
Yeah, that's not going to go on a cracker right
Yeah.
there.
But wait, let me
Guys.
smell. You gonna smell too? Hold on.
Front Street Market. Okay,
I think
that's
it's
where all
dill.
these came
I think
from.
it's just dill. I don't smell any extra spice in there.
Yeah, that's very dill, like very extra dill.
Yeah, like they weren't joking with the dill.
Here, you
I
don't have to
think
eat
it's
the
a-
whole thing. That's
I don't
why we got
smell
the
any
knife.
sweetness in it.
Okay, yeah. Give me
Boom. Okay,
a piece.
there we go. Show.
I still feel barfy from the car ride. Okay,
You gotta
Trying
eat
to
it.
make me do this.
It's again, it's sweet. So it's bread and butter pickle.
Is it bread and butter?
I believe that is. It's got jalapeno in it. Candied jalapeno pickles.
Wow. I'd never tried those before. Amazing.
Michael's a hard pass on all of this.
I know the apple butter is mine.
This
You
is
can-
pretty good too,
Two more.
actually.
Two more.
What do we put tomato jam on? A sandwich, perhaps?
Oh,
that
this
what
is-
we do?
Yeah, I guess so.
Oh heavens!
Yeah.
Mustard?
Yeah, it's a weird color.
It's a mustard relish.
Dig in. Don't hold back.
gelatinous.
Get in there, Kate.
Okay.
You want to try it?
There's something in there. There's a.
We'll see. We'll see. There's something of. Have you had kids yet? Did you have
Dijon.
kids?
This is good. Good audio material.
Not
right
yet.
now.
Then you wouldn't know.
Likely not ever.
And you wouldn't know what this looks like.
I have an idea.
Looks like breast milk poo.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's yeah. I didn't get the breast milk part, but
The breast milk poo is this exact color and consistency.
You're not eating this because it looks beautiful.
It's like a jalapeno Dijon
Very good. Jalapeno honey mustard.
honey mustard.
Yep, was that one. I like that, by the way.
Nice.
It's really good.
It's spicy.
It's got a burn that lingers.
Oh.
All right.
Still a little nauseous from the. I'm not gonna. It's not helping me.
Michelle's gonna eat this whole jar.
Am I?
Ugh, that one's stuck.
You're so strong and brave. Wait, do the thing where you tap it.
So you got these a different time.
Really hard.
What's that? He got these today on the way here.
Oh, okay. So you did stop at Front Street.
Yeah.
You've got to check it out.
Oh, that's hard.
It is
do
so
the thing where
hard.
you take the back of the knife
It's
and hit
way
it.
more than just this.
The sides, yeah.
Jars of.
We're not gonna eat this one.
You know
Can we
what's
guess
really
it?
popular from there?
Can you do
They're
it, Michael?
quail's eggs. Pickled.
We've gotten those before.
Pickled quail's eggs.
Okay.
I had to bring like case upon case upon
Very
case.
nice. Thank
Like
you.
it flattened my
You will not
tires.
include
My
this in
so
the cut.
heavy.
Oh my
Down
god.
to Dimo's Meats and Ennis.
Are you serious?
Oh,
Because people
dripping
down
all over
there
myself.
love.
Luckily, we're in a mine house. They have seen all manner of messes in here, I'm
This is
guessing.
so funny. I can't believe I'm
All right.
eating in the Anselmo Hoist
Yep.
House.
know.
You got to try it. Ooh, whoa, that's a big old chunk. Here you go, Michelle.
Pickled
What?
tomato.
Pickled.
Come on.
It's a
Here.
pickled tomato.
Get on it. Try it, Kate. I'm gonna eat the rest of this pickle. What? You're not gonna eat?
Onion?
I told you. If I'm
Oh yeah,
not
that's
eating
a
it, I'm
tomato.
not gonna eat it.
It's lost all of its color.
It's lost all of its tomato. Maybe it was a green tomato. Is it kind of sweet? Does it have a
Kind of
sweetness?
good. Yeah. It's pretty
It
good.
is pretty good. And it is, yeah, it's a pickled green tomato. Sweet.
Again,
Yeah.
my nose brought me to all the
delicious?
conclusions.
But it had that look about it as well. I just like, you know.
And, well, that was the full game. Good job. You did excellent. Well, I feel like you got maybe 4 out of the 6. Pretty
You did
good.
better. And that was just with your nose.
That was just in my nose.
I got the apple butter, but that's like I said because I have a jar of it in my fridge right
Well,
now.
you
It was
know
my
the secret.
mistake, eating in the
You
car.
got to go to
earlier.
Front Street Market
You got to go to Front Street
for
Market.
the best preserves,
They
and
have-
you
they
take
even
it from
have-
the preservation officer.
I will say Front Street is
herself.
awesome. Their lemon olives are incredible
Lemon
in a
stuffed
martini.
Never
olives.
had them. I've
Best-
had the garlic
best
and
things
the
for
blue
martinis.
cheese stuffed.
Yeah.
And,
You can make a dirty martini that just has the best flavor profile.
oh, wow. Okay.
All right, come to Butte for St. Patty's Day.
Yes.
Speaking
Go-
of drinking,
Make Kate take you around, give
Yeah,
you the
come say hi. I'm in the courthouse. Beautiful
Tour of the
building.
highlights.
Beautiful building.
thank
you so much for letting us talk in this amazing
problem.
space.
No
Yeah.
problem. This was so much fun.
Can anyone feel their toes or is it just me?